Good day and welcome to my Bible and I daily reading. This is where we read a chapter from the Bible each and every day. We are starting in the book of Judges, Judges chapter 1 in this session. And I invite you to follow our journey for the next 21 days as we'll be reading the book of Judges, after which we continue till we read the entire Bible. Each and every letter of each and every word in the Bible is placed there for a reason, So we need to really go through the whole Bible and understand it and not just read to just finish. Well, before I go on ahead and read today's chapter, let us close our eyes with a word of prayer. Our gracious Father, art in heaven, Lord, thank you for this privilege to meet and read of your word. Lord, please be with us, be our teacher, be our guide, help us to understand your message. This is my humble prayer in your mighty name, Lord. Amen. All right, Judges. Yeah, we just finished the book of Joshua. I was just speaking of Joshua so many times. Yeah, but today we are starting the book of Judges, Judges chapter 1. I read from the New King James Version. It reads as follows. Now, after the death of Joshua, it came to pass that the children of Israel asked the Lord, saying, who shall be first to go for us against the Canaanites to fight against them? And the Lord said, Judah shall go up. Indeed, I have delivered the land into his hand. So Judah said to Simeon, his brother, come up with me to my allotted territory, that we may fight against the Canaanites. And I will likewise go with you to your allotted territory. And Simeon went with him. Then Judah went up, and the Lord delivered the Canaanites and the Perizzites into their hand. And they killed 10,000 men at Bezek, and they found Adoni-Bezek in Bezek, and fought against him. And they defeated the Canaanites and the Perizzites. And then Adoni-Bezek fled, and they pursued him, and caught him, and cut off his thumbs and big toes. And Adoni-Bezek said, 70 kings with their thumbs and big toes cut off used to gather scrapes under my table, as I have done. So God has repaid me. Then they brought him to Jerusalem, and there he died. Now the children of Judah fought against Jerusalem and took it. They struck it with the edge of the sword and set the city on fire. And afterward the children of Judah went down to fight against the Canaanites who dwelt in the mountains in the south and in the lowland. Then Judah went against the Canaanites who dwelt in Hebron. Now the name of Hebron was formerly Kirjath Arba. And they killed Sheshai, Ahiman, and Talmai. From there they went against the inhabitants of Debir. The name of Debir was formerly Kirjath Sepher. Then Caleb said, whoever attacks Kirjath Sepher and takes it, to him I will give my daughter Exa as wife. And Othniel, the son of Kenaz, Caleb's younger brother, took it. So he gave him his daughter Exa as wife. Now it happened when she came to him that she urged him to ask her father for a field. And she dismounted from a donkey, and Caleb said to her, what do you wish? So she said to him, give me a blessing. Since you have given me land in the south, give me also springs of water. And Caleb gave her the upper springs and the lower springs. Now the children of the Kenite, Moses' father-in-law, went up from the city of palms with the children of Judah into the wilderness of Judah, which lies in the south near Arad. And they went and dwelt among the people. And Judah went with his brother Simeon, and they attacked the Canaanites who inhabited Zephath and utterly destroyed it. So the name of the city was called Homa. Also Judah took Gaza with its territory, Ashkelon with its territory, and Ekron with its territory. So the Lord was with Judah. And they drove out the mountaineers, but they could not drive out the inhabitants of the lowland, because they had chariots of iron. And they gave Hebron to Caleb, as Moses had said. And then he expelled from there the 3 sons of Anak. But the children of Benjamin did not drive out the Jebusites who inhabited Jerusalem. So the Jebusites dwell with the children of Benjamin in Jerusalem to this day. And the house of Joseph also went up against Bethel, and the Lord was with them. So the house of Joseph sent men to spy out Bethel. The name of the city was formerly Luz. And when the spies saw a man coming out of the city, they said to him, "Please show us the entrance of the city, and we will show you mercy." So he showed them the entrance to the city, and they struck the city with the edge of the sword, but they let the man and all his family go. And the man went to the land of the Hittites, built a city, and called its name Luz, which is its name to this day. However, Manasseh did not drive out the inhabitants of Beth Shean and its villages, or Taanach and its villages, or the inhabitants of Dor and its villages, or the inhabitants of Ibleam and its villages, or the inhabitants of Megiddo and its villages. For the Canaanites were determined to dwell in the land. And it came to pass, when Israel was strong, that they put the Canaanites under tribute, but did not completely drive them out. Nor did Ephraim drive out the Canaanites who dwelt in Gezer, so the Canaanites dwelt in Gezer among them. Nor did Zebulun drive out the inhabitants of Kitron or the inhabitants of Nahalol, so the Canaanites dwelt among them and were put under tribute. Nor did Asher drive out the inhabitants of Achor or the inhabitants of Sidon or of Elab, Exib, Helba, Aphik, or Rehob. So the Asherites dwelt among the Canaanites, the inhabitants of the land, for they did not drive them out. Nor did Naphtali drive out the inhabitants of Beth Shemesh or the inhabitants of Beth Anath, but they dwelt among the Canaanites, the inhabitants of the land. Nevertheless, the inhabitants of Beth Shemesh and Beth Anath were put under tribute to them. And the Amorites forced the children of Dan into mountains, for they would not allow them to come down to the valley. And the Amorites were determined to dwell in Mount Heres, in Aijalon, and in Shalbim. Yet when the strength of the house of Joseph became greater, they were put under tribute. Now the boundary of the Amorites was from the ascent of Akrabim, from Selah and upward. May the Lord add a blessing to his word now and forevermore. Amen. Okay, so we begin Judges chapter 1. Remember, we ended Joshua 24 with Joshua saying, "As for me and my house, will serve the Lord." Okay, you know what God has done for you. Now the ball is on your court. Okay, what you do from today onwards is going to, there is the consequences of what you do will be yours and yours alone. Okay, you need to make the correct choices. And we also knew from Deuteronomy that they were supposed to get rid of all the people of the land. Okay, they were supposed to have removed the Canaanites from the land, but they didn't. Okay, so here, these nations, these tribes live with the Canaanites. They live with the people of the land, and the people are growing in number, okay? They are occupying the land with them. So somehow what they knew, okay, they were bringing compromise on what they knew. The obedience which was expected of them was now somewhat diluted, because the people of the land had their own customs, they had their own gods, okay? And these people, as they were living with the people of the land, they were somehow bringing what they were also doing into their land as well. Now, something that's very dangerous, sometimes when people do things, they don't realize how many people are affected by what they do. So for example, here, the elderly members of these tribes are the ones in the best position to fight and get rid of the Canaanites of the land, but they don't. But now they have children who are looking up to them, who are looking at how they are not obeying God fully. They're looking at how they're accommodating the Canaanites. They're looking at how some of the Canaanites are strong, okay? And we had learned also that they were also even making marriages with them. So they were actually embedding these two cultures, the cultures and the customs of the people of the land, as well as what God was expecting them to do. So somehow they're finding a fit, they're finding a way to blend these, even though they don't blend. Okay, so they are introducing this compromise, this confusion, and all the younger ones who are growing in this environment are growing up observing how this is not really a big deal, right? I mean, surely it can't be a big deal, because look, my parents are telling me this is the right way, but they are breaking this law or this right way themselves, okay? So there's a bit of this confusion that's already growing, okay? It's taking root. And even the Canaanites, we see so many times it's expressed that they are showing resistance, okay? They are showing that if we want to, we can fight against you guys, okay? They are testing the waters. So they do that, and they also are growing. Some of them are not even able to be removed from the land because they've got chariots of iron. Okay, and so the people of the land are becoming strong. Okay, the Israelites are accommodating them, and we're seeing this as we're beginning the book of Judges. Okay, we're seeing how there's a lot of, already there's a lot of compromise being introduced, and which is growing, okay, among the tribes of Israel. As we continue to read, we'll see what happens, but I want us to just keep this at the back of it. It really interests me to see how, though they're taking it so lightly, that God's will, can be altered with. It can be bended, okay? The rule of God can be bended to suit our needs, okay? They're sort of doing that here, okay? You know what? It's okay. We can, we keep the Sabbath, but at the same time, we can buy some things on the Sabbath, okay? At the same time, we can, do other things. We can work some jobs on the Sabbath. We can do other things. We know what we're supposed to do, but at the same time, we can find ways to accommodate ourselves, right? Yeah, so a lot of this is brought into the picture now, and it continues, it grows, it takes root. And more than anything else, the Canaanites were not even partly obeying the will of God. They were just worshiping their idols. So you see that as much as they bring and they accommodate the Canaanites, it means that they also are bringing idols, okay? So idol worshiping is also being introduced, okay? Fornication is being introduced. All of the sins of the people of the land are being introduced, okay? The children of God are accommodating this, okay? That's how we begin our Judges chapter 1, okay? And that was the main part that stood out for me here in Judges chapter 1. I'm curious to find out what stood out for you as well. I mean, there's also mention of the king Adoni-Bezek, whose thumbs and his thumbs and big toes got removed after war, and he becomes humbled because he remembers, he was once in a position of power, and there were such people that came, to him. So he's like, what? I actually understand this is from God. There's such stories and mentions as well in this chapter, but what stood out for me the most, okay, is how the children of God are definitely introducing the filth, okay, of the things of the world. They're introducing them and they're incorporating them into the will of God, even though they do not blend and mix together. I'm curious to find out what you also picked up from this. Let's learn together, share what you also have picked up from this first chapter, okay? And definitely wanting to continue and see what will be the result of them doing this, okay? As we continue to read. Okay, well, that is the end of our session today. Okay, let us close our eyes with a word of prayer. Our gracious Father in heaven, Lord, thank you for being with us. Lord, as we continue to read of your word, help us to understand the consequences of us making any alterations to your will at any point in our lives. Lord, help us to be steadfast in obeying you at each and every step of the way. Lord, this is my humble prayer in your mighty name, Lord. Amen. Well, have a very good one. Okay, we'll meet in the next video. Take care.